Good day. Unlike with Star Wars, Star Trek, up until the last decade, did not have an EU proper. Many Star Trek books just did their own thing, irrespective of other novels, and sometimes irrespective of the show. In fact, the very first Star Trek novel, published in 1970, had the Klingons lose star travel for 10,000 years. Not all Star Trek novels diverged heavily from canon, however, and most attempted to stay in continuity. Many of the Star Trek novels were just one-off adventures meant to ape the television show, and today's novel, Blaze of Glory, is one such novel. It is in every way a Star Trek TNG episode and could have been made on TNG's budget, and would have been a good episode, but not a great one. The story introduces a new, never-before-seen alien race called the Catral. They look like Vulcans and Romulans, but they are not as unemotional as the Vulcans, nor as duplicitous as the Romulans. They had a monarchical form of government until recent years, but now they have what is more or less a dictatorship. Despite this, they are a Federation member, and they are currently having issues with a pirate named de Blasio, aka Blaze. He is hitting shipping in a souped-up Constitution-class starship. Really, ladies and gentlemen, the cover is probably the reason why anyone bought this book in the first place. It is certainly the reason why I picked it up, but thankfully, there is more going on here than one bloody epic Connie. The Enterprise stops at Starbase 31, and of course Picard knows the Starbase commander, Gruznov. He has been trying to stop Blaze for months, but to no avail. Eventually, Blaze attacks and damages one of Gruznov's ships, and the Enterprise as well. But the Big D does get in a few good hits of their own. Picard does what he does best and gets to investigating, and finds that there is something rotten in the Catral Empire. He hatches a plan to track down Blaze by sending Riker, LaForge, and Lieutenant Dorn undercover as down-on-their-luck spacers. He also has a plan to talk to a local Catral hero that has been locked away by the local government. Riker and team get captured by a local cyborg that is both a drug dealer and a prostitute because, future. She actually gets some backstory and a bit of fleshing out, and it's quite entertaining to read. The capture turns out to be fortuitous, as she is Blaze's first mate, and thus she gets Riker and team on the ship. Picard is able to rescue the local war hero and learns that the Romulans are up to their old tricks again. And this time, the plot is a bit too complex for TV. In short, the Romulans want to extend the borders of the neutral zone by making the Federation expel the Catral Empire, which borders the Romulan neutral zone. How are they going to get the Federation to expel the Catral Empire, you may ask? By showing that the leader of said empire is in league with the Romulans, and due to the Prime Directive, Federation personnel cannot intervene directly with a planetary government, and thus they cannot just remove the leader by force. In Riker's plot, Blaze turns out not to be a massive dick, but rather a harder-edged Han Solo. Riker is tasked with being the ship's new gunner, and LaForge is tasked with fixing the ship. Riker and team find themselves in a bad position. They have to help Blaze fix the ship, but they cannot fix it too well since Blaze wants to attack the Enterprise. And in Picard's neck of the space woods, he has to figure out how to stop the Romulans without directly intervening. Blaze of Glory is one of those rare novels where it truly is a page-turner. The plot is paced excellently, and both A and B plots are very strong in their execution, and neither one drags or becomes uninteresting. The characterization is on par with the show, and better in some respects. This novel is also what I like to call realistic Trek. Say what you will about Trek and realism, but in the hands of the right writer, Trek can become downright logical. Simon Hawke, the writer, has the main cast do things that only the best written of the TNG episodes can match. And overall, the plot is a cut above the typical TNG story. This is a must-have novel for any Star Trek TNG fan. And so, I am General Lotz, wishing you good Star Trek Section 31, Shadows, and good Star Trek Shards and Shadows, or whatever makes you happy. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing, and if you can, please consider supporting me on Patreon so that I can continue bringing you this awesome content.